Fight fans, what's good? June 20th, we have another date with the PBC and interesting fight. Adrien Broner versus Shawn Porter. The battle, in a sense, for Ohio, which ironically, this fight's not happening, as far as my recollection is concerned, happening in Ohio. I think it's happening in Vegas. I could be wrong, but I think I did see it was happening in Vegas. But, I mean, yeah, battle for Ohio. A lot of I mean, some would consider this, I guess, a crossroads fight. I mean, it's kind of tough to say that considering both guys don't have that many losses on the record. I mean, particularly one with Broner. I mean, he has one loss, but I mean, the loss he did take to Maidana was an eye opener, for the most part. But with Shawn Porter, man, I mean, I think a lot of us have gotten familiar with him, or at least in the beginning, being Manny Pacquiao's main sparring partner, or one of the main sparring partners for several years. But in the last couple of years, he's made a name for himself, knocking out Paulie Malignaggi and beating Devin Alexander, and he became a world champion, being the IBF champion. So I mean, we gotta. I mean, now we gotta look past the Pacquiao years for Shawn Porter. I mean, he's a former world champion. Did get beat by Kell Brook, but Kell Brook is looking to be one of the top guys, not only at welterweight but in boxing, as far as as the years roll by. I mean, I think we'll see Kell Brook, in the future, or at least from now on to the future. I think he's going to be one of the main guys. But with Adrien Broner, the spotlight has been on this guy since he's been at 130. And a lot of it really is due to the fact that he is very, outgoing with his personality. And, he takes full advantage of social media, posting up videos that some maybe shouldn't be posted. But the thing about him is he's intriguing in the sense of you don't know what you're going to get when he gets in the ring. And in some ways, that is a selling point with him. The whole thing with Broner, at least with the fans and even some of the boxing writers and so forth. And, a lot of people look at Broner as a guy who's trying to emulate Floyd Mayweather to the highest degree. But as we've seen, the major difference between a Floyd Mayweather and Adrien Broner is the commitment and the overall, him taking his craft serious, as did Floyd Mayweather, because Floyd Mayweather can party, maybe not as hard as Adrien Broner does, because he does keep in mind that his body is his temple, and the guy never drinks, never smokes, doesn't do any drugs or anything, and he's worked on his craft really his entire life. Where with Broner, you see the natural ability. And, he obviously has an amateur background, and he's familiar with a lot of guys that you're seeing boxing today, with guys like Danny Garcia and some others who he came up with. So he's been around, you know what I mean? But I think from 135, when he made that leap to 147, I think that was a big, big mistake. And I think the whole point of them doing that was, I think they rushed him. I think they rushed him into a big fight that I don't think he was really prepared for. And I saw that. I think many of us saw that when he fought Paulie Malignaggi in a fight. He really was supposed to dominate Malignaggi, and that didn't happen. And we saw what happened when he fought a stronger, bigger Marcos Maidana. And I think we kind of got word, or we were kind of told he wasn't ready for 147 pounds, and he had to go back to 140. And even from that point, he hasn't had a lot of fights really at the 140 limit, as his last fight with John Molina was like at 142, 143. And now this fight coming up is at another catch weight of 144 pounds. So to me, I don't know if it's a deal where Broner just can't make 140 pounds. And I'm, again, questioning, I mean, his overall mindset as far as taking, this seriously, because making weight is a big part of the sport. And I think the problem we're starting to see now, man, is these weight classes are like being created. Canelo Alvarez hasn't fought at 154 since before the Mayweather fight, and all of his fights have been at like 155. And the last time he tried to make 154 was against Angulo, and he couldn't shed that 1 pound. And now with Broner, same thing. He technically didn't make weight for the Molina fight, but I think that's what happened, but nothing happened. There was a clause in the contract that he could weigh over the weight limit. So again, man, it's like, this is part of the sport that's killing me. And I think for Shawn Porter, look, a guy who has fought at junior middleweight and has fought at the welterweight limit, I don't remember the last time he weighed in at 144, which is the catch weight. But not only that, but there's also a catch weight for the rehydrate weight, which is the weight that the fighters fill into the day after the fight. Now, the average is around a 10 to 12 pound increase, but for this fight, there's a 10-pound clause that Porter can't go over 154 pounds for the at the night of the fight. And to be honest with you, man, it draws a concern, at least for me, if I'm somebody picking, or not for me, but like in the sense, if you're picking Shawn Porter, man, this is a cause for concern, because history has shown that the fighter going up in weight, more chances than not, will do better than the guy coming down in weight. And anybody who, and I've alluded to this in the past in some other fights and even some other topics, making weight is probably the most grueling and hardest thing that a fighter, boxing or MMA, will ever have to go through. It's it's very hard, obviously, but emotionally and mentally, it wears on you, man. And guys like Miguel Cotto and some other guys, like in recent history, like they've cut serious weight to make welterweight or even junior welterweight. As like, I make the mention of Cotto because if you guys look at what Cotto looked like at the weigh-in for the Malignaggi fight, which coincidentally was his last fight at 140, he looked terrible. And I don't know how he performed as well as he did against Malignaggi the following fight, or the following night. When I first read that this fight was made, I had no hesitation in picking Porter. He's a legit welterweight. He can make it a rugged fight, and we've seen what happens when you try to push the pace on Broner. He gets a little timid, and it makes me wonder why John Molina didn't take that approach against Adrien Broner, who even in that fight didn't show a lot of movement or head movement. So in a fight with Porter, man, he showed in the Devin Alexander fight and the Malignaggi fight, he can make it very rough, and he can make it rough for a boxing style where somebody's gonna just try to pick you off. He'll make it a dirty fight. So the thing with this fight, though, man, I think the catch weight for Porter, at least now, Kenny Porter is saying, his father is saying there's gonna be no issues, and I've seen training videos of him hitting the bag and everything, but I think the weight cut's going to be a little too much for Porter, man. People like say, oh, well, what's 144? He makes 146. Ask any welterweight right now that's making 146, or ask Floyd Mayweather. Ask any of these guys that make 146, no problem. Have them make 144 for the next fight and see how easy they do it. It's not easy, guys. Porter's, stature-wise, is not a big guy. Him and Broner probably match up similar, but Porter's just a bigger guy, and again, he's made 154. He's fought at 154, and he's fought most of the time now at 147. But I think the weight cut's going to be too much for him. I think he's going to be a little zapped in this fight, man. So, beyond the skills and beyond the style matchup, I'm picking Broner in this fight because I'm going by the notion of really the guy coming up in weight is likely going to do better than the guy having a drop in weight, in a weight that I don't believe he's weighed at as a professional. I could be wrong, but I haven't seen Shawn Porter make 144 pounds relatively in the last 5 to 6 years, as far as I can recall. So I got Broner winning this fight by decision. I mean Porter can make it a rough. I think for the first 4 rounds, he has to really put it on Broner and take advantage of Broner's flaws defensively and push him back. Because if he's able to do that early in the fight, I think he has a good chance to hurt Broner early and make him evade for most of the fight without him having to exude like a lot of energy. But I don't know, man. I'm going with the fact that this fight is at a catch weight and the fact that he can't weigh any more than 154 after this fight. I don't think his style is going to be that effective against Broner, considering the facts. So I got Broner winning a decision. It may be somewhat of a close fight, but I think Broner is going to be the fresher guy at that weight. It's at 144 pounds, and I don't think Broner's going to weigh anything over 154. I think Porter's going to have trouble keeping that 154 weight the day after the fight. So let me know what you guys think. There's actually 3 fights that night, which in a way is kind of, I guess it's good for competition, but somebody's going to have, or 2 fights are going to have to get DVR'd at some point. So I'll be watching this card, though. I'm interested in the fight. The other fights are Andre Ward and Paul Smith on BET. And then HBO has a card. I forgot who's actually fighting off the top of my head. But NBC on PBC on NBC June 20th. I'm loving these free fights. We're obviously going to be getting more of them. And let me know what you think of this fight, man. I got Adrien Broner winning a decision at the MGM Grand, Las Vegas, June 20th, NBC. Believe it's 8:30 start time. That's what time these cards usually start at. Well, mainly the NBC ones. So let me know what you think. As I always say, subscribe, hit the links, and tune in every Monday night, 9:30 Eastern time for the GYGB Boxing Podcast. We did our last show actually last night due to the Memorial Day holiday, the weekend, and we did talk about the Durrell and DeGale fight that took place, the upcoming fight this weekend with Amir Khan and Chris Algieri that takes place on Spike TV Friday night, and obviously the word about Carl Froch and Gennady Golovkin beginning talks. I did a video about it. You can check in my video section. But until then, subscribe, hit the links, and I'll be back with you soon.